From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
DACA recipients are figuring out how to pay for college after the Arizona courts ruled to cut their in-state tuition.
Plus, how Arizona is working to make sure the voting machines for the upcoming elections are secure and accurate.
And later this week, President Donald Trump will be returning to Arizona to support his GOP candidate.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Ashley Mackey.
And I'm Jake Trybolski. Thank you for joining us.
They were getting in-state tuition, but soon they won't. Earlier this year, the top court in Arizona struck down in-state tuition for DACA students. Cronkite News reporter Abdel Jimenez spoke with a few DACA recipients who are now fighting financially to finish school after the court's ruling.
Most DACA recipients that I spoke with say they fear they have to drop out of college because they simply cannot afford school. But a few that still attend college are doing whatever they can to pursue their dreams.
Yeah, I think I'll do it. I believe in myself. And my family believes in me too.
Sarai Escobar Gomez has a dream to become a teacher. But those dreams hit a wall after the Arizona Supreme Court ruled in April 2018 that DACA recipients are not eligible to pay for in-state tuition. Now, the bills to attend college are racking up for students like Gomez.
So I had to cut my time, and it really bummed me out because I need like 3 more classes to get my associates, so it slowed me down.
Gomez attends one of the Maricopa community colleges, where tuition for this year is $326 per credit for non-residents, as opposed to $85 per credit for residents. Those DACA recipients who can't afford to pay the higher rate are turning to trade schools for other options.
I have been trying to save up, and I've been coming up with little plans to try to see if it can help me maybe boost it a little faster. I wanted to go to get a real estate license so I can start, doing that on the side.
For most, the problem boils down to money. Karina Ruiz, executive director of the Arizona DREAM Act Coalition, says despite the challenges, DACA recipients shouldn't stop pursuing their education.
We have had the conversation with the students about, you have to expand your horizons. You have to really look into going to other states. Like we know St. Mary's in Texas is giving scholarships for students that are undocumented.
For now, Gomez says she will continue to fight to get a college education, even if it takes one class at a time.
The good thing is my mom is a single mother, so we just kind of join what we earn together, and that's how we make it, yeah.
The DACA program hangs in the balance of the courts. Last month, a Texas judge declined to stop the program, handing a victory for more than 26,000 active DACA recipients in Arizona. That's according to the most recent data from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. At ASU, there are currently 274 DACA students. Abdel Jimenez, Cronkite News.
It's not immigration or education that's the top issue for Democrats this midterm election. It's health care. Democrats are hoping to make Republicans pay for trying to repeal the Affordable Care Act last year. One major issue Democrat Arizona Senate candidate Kyrsten Sinema has spoke about during her campaign has been health care. Meanwhile, Republican candidate Martha McSally has voted for the GOP health bill.
We are about 3 weeks out from the November election, and voters should have already started to get their early ballots in the mail. Reporter Gabriela Becerra tells us what precautions Maricopa County takes to protect your vote.
The Maricopa County Recorder's Office has a number of measures in place to ensure the security of elections. Right now, they are in the process of testing the tabulator machines in a process they call the logic and accuracy test. The Recorder's Office is testing the machines by running pre-printed ballots through them to ensure the tabulators are accurate. The machines are then sealed before going out to polling locations. Because of this logic and accuracy test, they are able to know if the machine is tampered with on location. According to Maricopa County Recorder Adrian Fontes, the Secretary of State's office is a part of this testing, and the counting machines are certified by Arizona SOS.
Really looking at all of the ways that we can to get ahead of the bad guys, if you will, in planning and executing that plan. So no election is the same, and every election has issues. So we're paying close attention to all of that in working with our partners.
Fontes says they are working closely with federal, state, and local law enforcement to ensure the security of the election. In the broadcast center, Gabriela Becerra, Cronkite News.
Arizona Senate candidates Martha McSally and Kyrsten Sinema will go head-to-head this evening in their only debate in the race to replace current Senator Jeff Flake. The McSally-Sinema matchup is one of the closest races at play in November's midterm election. Polls showed Democratic Representative Kyrsten Sinema with a slight lead over Republican nominee Martha McSally. McSally is hoping to keep the current Republican majority in the Senate, but Sinema hopes to flip the seat blue. The Arizona Senate debate begins tonight at 6 p.m. right here on Arizona PBS.
McSally is getting help on the campaign trail from President Donald Trump. The president plans to be in Mesa this Friday. It's part of a 3-state swing on his midterm campaign tour. He's also planning stops in Nevada and Montana. The rally will be held again at a hangar near Mesa Gateway Airport. This is the second time he's chosen this location. Friday's rally is scheduled for 7 p.m. at International Air Response. According to his campaign, this will be the 10th rally Trump has held in Arizona. Besides stumping for McSally, Trump is expected to discuss his American First agenda.
Today, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were in Florida to look at the devastation Hurricane Michael has caused. Last week's hurricane was the first Category 4 storm to hit Florida. It claimed the lives of 18 people, while dozens are still unaccounted for. The governor of Florida says there are about 200,000 people still without power. Efforts to clean up and rebuild from the devastation have already begun.
Remnants from 2 tropical storms, Sergio and Rosa, brought rain to our state. October 2018 is now officially the wettest October on record at Phoenix Sky Harbor. Jordan Evans is in our studio with the latest details on how this month's rainfall could impact our water supply.
Yes, Jake, in fact, not only does October 2018 land as the wettest October, it currently stands as the 4th wettest month ever on record at Phoenix Sky Harbor. We are only 15 days into the month, and with more rain on the way, what does this mean for our water supply here in Arizona? Since the remnants of Rosa brought the first wave of tropical rainfall to the state earlier this month, the state alone has seen some improvement in the drought. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, much of the valley was in severe drought just weeks ago, and now only moderate drought exists for the valley. The Salt River Project told me that although this rainfall does not affect their water supplies in the short term, it will help the demand from their water systems. However, they say that is still not an excuse for Arizonans to let their guard down.
So if we got our reservoirs to full capacity and spilled this winter, the Colorado River system would still be low. And therefore, you still would want to conserve water because that's another big water supplier for Arizona.
And now just to put some of these numbers into perspective for you, so far this month, the total at Sky Harbor stands at 5.32 inches, which puts the year-to-date total at 8.72 inches. That's about 2.5 inches above the year-to-date normal, and we have more rain on the way for the valley. We'll dive into those details coming up in your 4 forecast in just minutes.
Wildfires not only destroy forests and property, but they can also contaminate the water supply near the affected land.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how a new forest restoration initiative is striving to prevent future catastrophic damage.
Plus, how medical professionals and first responders are learning to collaborate in response to disaster.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's and beyond.
We saw a classic chipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
For decades, land managers and ranchers in northern Arizona dealt with forest fires in a way that led to an overpopulation of trees. Now, as Casey Kuhn from KJZZ reports, agencies are working to fix that.
Near Flagstaff in northern Arizona, homes are going up in communities right next to national forest land. It's an ideal space for nature lovers, but the nature needs to be managed, especially when fire is as critical to the land as water and air.
We just want more of the fire that behaves the way it naturally should. These forests here need fire to survive.
Brienne Pettit is a spokeswoman for the Four Forests Restoration Initiative, or 4FRI. 4FRI is a multi-agency partnership spanning 4 national forests from the Grand Canyon to the eastern Arizona border. 4FRI got its start in 2009 with federal funding, following years of unnaturally large and devastating wildfires in northern Arizona. Those fires were hotter and more intense because the dense ponderosa tree forests in this area are not normal.
Behind us is an area that hasn't been thinned, and you can actually see the density of the trees.
Dick Fleshman helps manage tree thinning operations for 4FRI.
Imagine, if you will, a fire moving through this ecosystem right now. If the fire gets up in the canopy, it can actually run straight through that canopy, actually burn quite hot and actually quite destructively.
What 4FRI does is manually take out the younger ponderosa trees to create a completely different looking landscape than what residents are used to. Today's more volatile forest is more than 100 years in the making. Fleshman says the forests closest to where people live is high priority for restoration, because not only would a wildfire burn trees, it also burns soil, which makes conditions ripe for catastrophic flood events in the rainy season. 2 of Arizona's biggest wildfires, the Rodeo Chetaskai and Wallow fires, burned for weeks and caused hundreds of millions of dollars of damage. Part of that damage was to the water supply because the fires burned on the forest watershed.
When the forest burns, the water that's produced is of terrible quality. It's full of silt. It has harmful chemicals in it. It erodes the landscape and fills our reservoirs with sediment. And it's just a bad situation all the way around.
Charlie Esther manages all the river water that feeds into Salt River Project's reservoir system, which makes up 60% of Phoenix's drinking supply. Those reservoirs still have silt and chemicals from past wildfires, which travel through the canals to cities, and cities have to filter those pollutants out in their treatment plants. Casey Kuhn, KJZZ News, Flagstaff.
This story is part of a series called Fire in the Neighborhood from Elemental, covering sustainability. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at how 4FRI is working with tree harvesters and even using new technology to cut time and cost in order to accelerate forest restoration.
Arizona first responders and medical professionals came together to learn about burns, everything from how fire spreads to mass casualties. As Sammy Giebers reports, they're getting a chance to prepare for disasters.
More for like the burn also.
It has been 14 years.
Absorbs any wound fluid.
Of spreading awareness on burns. The annual symposium is educating professionals on treatment and more. Now, this event isn't just about burns. Medical professionals and first responders are telling me they're here downstairs gathering to make a better team.
Collaboration is very important, and especially when you're dealing with mass casualty events or disasters.
That's part of the reason why Ronnie Ramat is here.
No, I'm a trauma nurse, so in ICU.
He knows the importance of working as a team.
Especially like a nurses, technician, provider.
In a crisis moment, is a hospital prepared for what's going on at the Forest Service office? Can they communicate? This is the kind of place where those little walls get broken down so well.
And Dr. Diane Heineman tells me this is especially important today.
Certainly in this country, there have been lots of mass casualties, and even in the last 10 years, it seems that those sorts of things are growing.
So whether it's military, doctors, or firefighters, they'll learn about burns, treatments, and disasters.
Thank you, sir.
But they are also learning to be a team as well. In Mesa, Stan McGeebers, Cronkite News.
The symposium is put on by Maricopa Integrated Health System and the Arizona Burn Center, the only verified burn center in the state.
Wearable technology can be a helpful tool for anyone looking to track their health and performance. But athletes at GCU are taking the technology one step further. Next on Cronkite News, how these gadgets can help prevent student athletes from being overworked.
And after a day of gorgeous sunshine across the valley, clouds are on the increase once again, along with more rain chances. I'll have those details coming up in your 4 forecast.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
Cronkite News, weeknights at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Grand Canyon University made coaching a little bit easier when they implemented technology that allows coaches to see real-time data for each of their players. Our Sydney Carter went out to learn more about the technology.
Grand Canyon soccer players and their coaches know everything about their performance. Their top speeds, amount of impacts received, energy, and even their location on the field.
We can actually see that, oh, I feel tired, and then you see the data and you're like, oh, this is because of this. And without it, it'll be kind of difficult just put in to the trainer, like what she or he can do, you know? So it's more like we can take care of our bodies ourselves.
This is thanks to a wearable device called Player Tech.
What we use them for currently is pretty much like monitoring player load to make sure that the players are not overworking, they're not underworking, but they're pretty much always staying in that range where science says that is the best range to stay within if you're not looking to increase injury risk.
GCU soccer performance specialist Ben Panicasio looks at every player's statistics daily and makes changes to a player's workload accordingly.
I think it's always nice to have another tool to present to coaches to give them some hard facts and data, but it's nice to have another metric to add to your perception moving forward and be able to deal with it. And so I think it served us really, really well in being able to manage the guys during the season.
The athletes slip these devices into the back of their Player Tech shirts, and these GPS trackers make about 2,500 measurements per second.
I think we're fresher going on the field. I think we're able to understand the workload that they put in. Maybe because we haven't had so many injuries, it's benefited us tremendously, because coaches like myself who's been in this game for a long time before a program like a Catapult's come around, it was all just an eye. Vision is a memory of what we've seen in the past.
GCU is currently leasing these devices in a 3-year contract, In Phoenix, Sydney Carter, Cronkite News.
Floods hit the valley once again this weekend, and this is officially the wettest October Phoenix has ever seen. Sheesh.
Jordan, is there more rain in the forecast this week?
We do have more rain coming in tonight, but the other big story is even cooler air is on the way. And just to give you guys another stat about the cooler temperatures, I mean, Phoenix has not seen a high temperature above the average since September 30th. So all of the month October, we've been pretty chilly out there, and we're not the only ones feeling pretty chilly as well. Actually, excuse me real quick while I get the weather computer started here. And in fact, as we take a look at temperatures across the nation, as we can see, we're not the only ones feeling pretty cool tonight. In fact, the entire Midwest has seen a cold front move through, which has really dipped temperatures down into the 40s in Kansas City as well as in Denver. Kansas City saw their first snow for the season. In fact, their earliest snowfall ever on record, that was this morning. And you can see that front continues to make its way off to the southeast and is on Atlanta's doorstep. So get ready for some cooler air out there. But back here in the valley, we've got a low pressure that will park out over the California-Arizona state line, which will help bring more moisture up for the south and increase our rain chances heading into tonight. So putting that into motion on future casts, as we can see, rain will really hug the eastern part of the state, and even snow up to the north in the high country. Snow levels will fall to about 6,000 feet. Flagstaff could pick up an inch or two out of this once it's all set and done. And that'll even continue to be the case as we head into Tuesday night, where more rain will fill in along that I-40 corridor, and even on Wednesday. So pretty rainy day up north tomorrow. Here in the valley, about a quarter of an inch of rain is possible overnight tonight, but should all dry out and clear out by tomorrow in the afternoon, I should say. So we'll be just left with clouds. And of course, winds will pick up as well as out of the east with 10 miles an hour possible here in Phoenix, a bit higher up to the north along that higher terrain. But the main thing we want people to know is that temperatures are going to be taking another dip as we head into tomorrow, with 77 being the current temperature, dew points down to the 30s. So not a lot of moisture out there to give us a ton of rain, but definitely a little bit. And we'll see those temperatures fall into the 60s later tonight once the sun sets, and lows tomorrow, even down into the 50s here in the valley. So way below average at 58 here in Phoenix, 55 in Deer Valley, Cave Creek being our coolest spot at 51 tomorrow morning, and high temperatures across the state, only making it up to 68 degrees here in the valley, over out to the west, the mid 70s, a bit cool up to the north, and 37 at Flagstaff and along the rim. And here in this valley for the 7-day forecast, we'll be keeping things below average for the next 7 day once again. But abundant sunshine returning on Wednesday and Thursday with highs in the 70s, and then those rain chances possibly returning for us again heading into the weekend, with those high temperatures heading back into the mid 80s. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Jordan Evans.
The Sonoran Desert has a sustainable secret. It can actually feed you.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how a program in Glendale is teaching people how to embrace the desert we live in by eating it.
At Cronkite News, we have producers who craft shows that make an impact on our community. Our broadcasts allow students to be involved in all levels of production, from producing to directing. We are guided by highly respected professionals who mentor the journalists of tomorrow. From technical directing to teleprompting and beyond, our production crew works tirelessly to produce meaningful and award-winning shows. We are Cronkite News on Arizona PBS.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
One city is finding a creative way to educate the community on sustainability. Reporter Jennifer Alvarez went to Glendale to check out their desert food forest.
It's peaceful, it's innovative.
It's the Desert Food Garden.
The Desert Food Forest is a unique and special little garden where it's like the desert reveals its secrets.
The secret, that the Sonoran Desert is able to produce food year-round. And as Joanne Toms, the environmental program manager for the city, explains, the plants themselves, their seeds, or their fruit can all be made into other foods.
The mesquite pods can be ground into a flour, and that can be used to make cookies or mesquite pancakes.
The city holds walking tours of the garden as well as family-friendly workshops to teach about edible plants and sustainable landscaping.
The goal is to bring adults and children out here to teach them about how to embrace the desert that we live in Arizona as a whole.
The garden is located alongside Glendale's main library, which has many books on desert gardening.
This one is a really good one. It's Sonoran Desert food plants. And this just really goes through a lot of the different types of cacti. You've got ground cover, you have trees, weeds.
And at the end of the day, Tom says this program is all about learning to love our home.
People come from all over the world to visit the Sonoran Desert, and for us that live here, it just gives us a greater appreciation of where we live.
In Glendale, Jennifer Alvarez, Cronkite News.
The city was honored with a 2018 Crescordia Award for Environmental Education and Communication for their desert food forests earlier this month.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
Join Arizona PBS and the Arizona Republic as we host the only live broadcast debate for U.S. Senate. Hear from Martha McSally and Kirsten Sinema Monday at a special time, 6 p.m. here on Arizona PBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, we travel to Montana for one of the most competitive U.S. Senate races in the country. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.